For more than 2 decades, Mike Brewer has been one of the most recognizable faces in automotive television, thanks to his role as the frontman of the long-running TV show Wheeler Dealers. To millions of viewers around the world, the formula seemed simple. Mike would track down a neglected but promising vehicle, purchase it at a reasonable price, hand it over to a skilled mechanic for restoration, and then sell it for a profit. The combination of practical car knowledge, entertaining banter, and genuine enthusiasm for classic and everyday vehicles helped transform Wheeler Dealers into one of the most successful motoring programs ever produced. Yet behind the scenes, the reality was far more complicated than what audiences saw on their television screens. Over the years, Mike faced personal conflicts, public criticism, business struggles, and professional challenges that tested both his resilience and his passion for the automotive industry. Looking back on the show's remarkable journey, Mike Brewer has gradually revealed the truth about what really happened to Wheeler Dealers and the difficult road that brought the program to where it is today. When Wheeler Dealers first premiered in 2003, nobody could have predicted that it would become a global phenomenon. The show's success was built largely on the chemistry between Mike Brewer and mechanic Ed China. Mike brought years of experience buying and selling vehicles, having worked in the motor trade since his teenage years. He had developed a keen eye for spotting hidden value and understood how to negotiate a deal. Ed China, meanwhile, became famous for his calm, methodical approach to repairs and restorations. His ability to explain complex mechanical procedures in a way that ordinary viewers could understand made him an instant fan favorite. Together, they created a unique television partnership that felt genuine and natural. Mike handled the excitement of finding and purchasing cars, while Ed worked his magic in the workshop. Their contrasting personalities complemented each other perfectly, helping Wheeler Dealers stand out in a crowded television landscape. As the years passed and the show's popularity increased, production demands also grew. Budgets became larger, schedules became tighter, and the program evolved from a modest British motoring show into an internationally recognized brand. While viewers continued enjoying the familiar format, tensions were quietly developing behind the scenes. The turning point arrived in 2017 when Ed China announced that he would be leaving Wheeler Dealers after 13 seasons. Rather than issuing a brief statement through the network, Ed chose to speak directly to fans through a video message. In that video, he explained that changes in production had reduced the amount of detailed mechanical work being shown on screen. According to Ed, important repair segments were being shortened or removed entirely, something he felt compromised the educational value that had always been central to the show. For him, the restoration process was the heart of Wheeler Dealers, and he was unwilling to continue under the new format. Mike Brewer viewed the situation differently. He believed that television programs must evolve if they are to survive and remain relevant. While he respected Ed's dedication to the mechanical side of the show, Mike felt that production realities required changes. Unfortunately, those differences could not be reconciled. After more than a decade working together, the partnership came to an end. Publicly, Mike initially described Ed's departure in relatively simple terms, often saying that Ed had decided to leave his job. However, years later, Mike admitted that the situation affected him far more deeply than many people realized. During interviews and podcast appearances, he revealed that he was devastated when Ed left and even shed tears over the breakup of their professional relationship. Mike also expressed disappointment, suggesting that Ed had used the platform provided by Wheeler Dealers to build his own personal brand before moving on. Perhaps most tellingly, Mike confirmed that the two men had not spoken in years, highlighting just how deep the divide had become. The reaction from fans was immediate and intense. Many viewers blamed Mike for Ed's departure, believing that he had somehow forced the beloved mechanic out of the show. What began as criticism soon escalated into something much darker. Mike found himself the target of relentless online abuse. He received hateful messages, death threats, and even comments directed toward his wife Michelle and their daughter. Some individuals went so far as to appear outside his home. The constant hostility created a level of stress that few television personalities are ever forced to endure. Mike has since explained that the abuse became a daily reality, something he woke up to every morning and dealt with every night. Although he eventually developed a thicker skin and learned to ignore much of the negativity, he admits that such sustained attacks inevitably take a psychological toll. Despite everything, he remained committed to continuing the show and refused to let the criticism force him away from a career he loved. The pressure from public backlash coincided with a difficult period in Mike's personal life. He later admitted that the stress contributed to unhealthy habits, including increased alcohol consumption. Long filming schedules, frequent travel, and the emotional impact of the controversy surrounding Ed's departure all combined to create a challenging environment. Following an extended filming period in Australia, Mike realized that he needed to make significant lifestyle changes. By 2025, he had begun documenting a year-long effort to improve his physical and mental health. He openly acknowledged that things had gotten out of control and described the cycle of stress, weight gain, and public scrutiny as increasingly difficult to escape. While viewers continued seeing the same energetic presenter on television, Mike was privately fighting battles that few people knew existed. Another major change came when Wheeler Dealers relocated production to California. Following Ed China's departure, Ant Anstead joined the show as the new mechanic. Ant brought an impressive background that included service as a police officer and experience in automotive television. His chemistry with Mike helped stabilize the program during a turbulent transition period. However, moving the show from the United Kingdom to the United States proved controversial among longtime fans. Many viewers felt that Wheeler Dealers had lost part of its identity. The series had always been closely associated with British motoring culture, featuring vehicles, garages, and restoration stories that resonated strongly with UK audiences. Relocating to California introduced a different atmosphere and a different range of vehicles. Although Mike repeatedly explained that the move was a network decision rather than a personal choice, many fans viewed it as another departure from the formula they had originally loved. Eventually, production returned to the United Kingdom, and Ant Anstead stepped away from the show. According to Mike, Ant's departure was entirely amicable and driven by family considerations. With a young child living in California, constant international travel simply became impractical. Despite the lack of conflict between the two men, the period of uncertainty had already left its mark on both the show and its audience. Wheeler Dealers faced the challenge of rebuilding trust with viewers who felt disconnected from the changes that had occurred over several years. While dealing with television-related pressures, Mike was also facing serious business difficulties. His company, Mike Brewer Motors, had grown from a relatively modest operation into a large dealership employing more than 60 people across multiple locations. The expansion was financed through significant borrowing, much of it secured by personal guarantees. Although the business generated impressive sales volumes, the underlying economics became increasingly difficult to sustain. Rising operating costs, expensive logistics, growing wage bills, and shrinking profit margins placed constant pressure on the company. Mike later revealed that he and his wife often paid themselves very little, choosing instead to reinvest funds into keeping the business running. Despite years of effort, the financial model never became truly stable. The final blow arrived in 2025 when increased employer national insurance contributions and other rising costs made the business unsustainable. Insurance expenses, energy bills, and online advertising costs all climbed sharply. Mike ultimately concluded that continuing operations was no longer viable. After 15 years of work, Mike Brewer Motors closed its doors, resulting in the loss of around 60 jobs. It was one of the most painful experiences of his professional life. Determined to continue in the automotive trade, Mike launched a smaller, more manageable operation called One Automotive. Unlike the previous business, the new venture focused on maintaining low overheads, avoiding debt, and operating on a scale that could be controlled more effectively. Even then, challenges continued to emerge. One Automotive became the victim of a sophisticated fraud involving the sale of a Volkswagen Golf GTD. Despite following all standard verification procedures, the dealership unknowingly accepted payment using stolen identity information. After the real account holder disputed the transaction, the payment was reversed, leaving the business without both the vehicle and the money. Although the car was eventually recovered thanks to an honest member of the public, the financial loss remained significant. The incident reinforced Mike's belief that stronger systems are needed to protect dealers from increasingly sophisticated scams. Fortunately, Wheeler Dealers eventually found new momentum through the arrival of mechanic Mark Elvis Priestley, a former Formula One technician with McLaren. Mike immediately recognized Elvis's technical expertise and natural on-screen presence. Their partnership helped restore confidence among viewers and brought fresh energy to the show. Returning production to Britain allowed Wheeler Dealers to reconnect with the practical restorations and relatable vehicles that had originally made it successful. Recent seasons have featured a mix of classic British cars, sports cars, and unique restoration projects that remind audiences why they fell in love with the series in the first place. Today, despite everything he has endured, Mike Brewer remains optimistic about both the car trade and the future of wheeler dealers. He continues to encourage aspiring dealers and entrepreneurs, emphasizing the importance of starting small, controlling costs, embracing social media, and building trustworthy teams. At the age of 64, he acknowledges that his priorities have changed. Spending more time with his wife Michelle has become increasingly important, and he has spoken about becoming more aware of the value of time. Yet his passion for cars remains as strong as ever. The satisfaction of handing over a set of keys to a happy customer still motivates him just as it did when he first entered the motor trade as a teenager. After years of controversy, setbacks, business failures, and personal challenges, Mike Brewer's story is ultimately one of perseverance. Wheeler dealers survived the departure of key cast members, major production changes, and fierce public criticism. Through it all, Mike remained at the center of the show he helped create, proving that while the road has often been difficult, his commitment to cars and the people who love them has never wavered.